Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today we're going to go over the tones for the song What a God by SEU Worship. I originally had this one planned for the week of Father's Day, the week after Father's Day, but we lost our youngest son Cody that week, and so things got pushed back. And what's funny is my wife had made a playlist that we were listening to around the house and on drives, and there were a handful of songs that kept popping up, and I'd ask her, what song was that? What song is that? And I finally had her send me a list of songs, and this was one of them. So I'm glad to finally be able to put it out. So this one has a bit more of a wet mix than a lot of songs, and also a bit more drive. And so on the board, I use my pedal board rig to do that cover video. I've got a dual amp set up on the Stomp, and then on the board, I'm running the CS3 compressor with just a light bit of compression. And the chain of that is going from there into the ODR-1, and then from there into a rat clone, and then from there into the carbon from Browne Amplification. That's going straight into the front end of the Stomp. And then on the Stomp, I have the effects loop with the Jet Revelation and Eternity. And then the noise gate, there's just that bit of hiss that comes from the loop. And then we're going into 2 amps. I have the Grammatical LG Bright. It's a Tweed Deluxe, and I prefer that one over the Tweed Deluxe that's in the Stomp. And then the Matchstick Channel 1, each with their own cab. And then the simple EQ at the end of the chain to bump that holy mid-range. This one, I liked the sound that I got from stacking the ODR-1 into the carbon. I like to do that. You just get a little bit more of a dynamic breakup. So that was my preference on that. And then I kicked on the rat for the tremolo picking part at the end of one of the big choruses on the back half of the song. And that also comes with almost a swell tone. So a lot of reverb, a lot of delay, kind of creating a pad. So the significant, like each pick attack isn't so audible, kind of creating that pad sound, but it's real cool. And then I left the rat on for the rest of the song. Once I did kick it on, I was able to, it doesn't do a huge volume bump. It's just kind of really just giving you some distortion, a little bit more chew to your pick. So I left it on for the rest of the song, and I run through all the snapshots again. From snapshot 3, we go back in, and we're on snapshot 2. That's the lighter reverb, lighter delay, and then snapshot 1 again for another big chorus. But anyway, a lot of great tones and a lot of real versatile stuff. So the signal chain on the HX Stomp is the Deluxe Comp with a light bit of compression, mimicking what I have here on the board. And then we're going into the Ratatouille, from there into the KWB drive. And I chose that one because the heir apparent wasn't quite dynamic enough. On the board, I'm stacking, so that KWB drive has a similar dynamic to my stacked drives, and so I like that. Going from that into the transistor tape delay, and then the dynamic hall reverb into a single Matchstick Channel 1. With a dual cab, and then I've got one side mic'd up with the Dynamic 57, the other with the Dynamic 7, and I'm using the H30 on that. And then the simple EQ at the end to bump the holy mid-range. The signal chain for the Helix is a bit different up front. We do have the same comp, and then we're going into the rat. From there into the prize drive, which is an ODR-1, and from there into the heir apparent, which is a similar bluesbreaker circuit as the carbon. From that, we're going into the volume pedal, and then a stereo transistor tape delay, dynamic hall reverb, and then splitting into 2 Matchstick Channel 1s, each with their own cab, set up with the Dynamic 7, Dynamic 57, and then the whole, simple EQ to bump that holy mid-range. You can get the dual amp setup, the Tweed match for the HX Stomp. It's going to come just the way I have it here, with the effects loop, the noise gate, those 2 amps, and the simple EQ at the end. Then I've got it dialed in for single coils, filtertrons, and humbuckers. And then you can also get that on the Helix, and I added tremolo to it, so it has all the same stuff as the song preset, but with the 2 amps, and then it's got tremolo added just for some versatility. And the snapshots for the song preset are SS1, and that comes in for our first chorus, where we're coming in to rake those chords. SS2, which is used on verse 2 and parts of the bridge. And then SS3, which is kicked on for that tremolo picking part. And then I have on the HX Stomp The Ratatouille is set up on foot switch 1, so you can kick that on as you need it. And then the KWB drive is also set up on a foot switch. It's on foot switch 2 in case you wanted to just have a cleaner tone. On the Helix, the foot switches are set up plus DIST for each one. So SS1 is foot switch 1, foot switch 2 is SS1 plus DIST, and that's just adding that Ratatouille. SS2 plus DST, SS3 plus DIST. And then for the Tweed Match dual amp Helix preset, Snapshot 7 is SS1 plus trem, and Snapshot 8 is SS3 plus trem. I'll be running through the preset with my Telecaster. What is it? Custom Telecaster. I don't know what makes it custom. It's a 66, and a lot of those guitars had rosewood fretboards. This one has maple. So it's a custom Telecaster. I'm going to be using this, the Gretsch, and the PRS. All right, let's hear it. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. If you'd like the resources for this song, you'll find them at a link in the description box below. There are a handful of downloads free for you in there as well. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.